Nobody sends you a message when the way people treat you begins to change. There is no announcement. No visible signal. The change is entirely in behavior. In the small details of how conversations start and stop. It starts before you have told anyone anything. Before a single person in your life knows the number in your account. This is not a story about being rich and famous. It is a story about the quiet version. The version where the money is invisible and yet somehow, slowly, specifically, the treatment changes. It changes in 7 specific ways. Part 1. The first change. How people listen. Before the wealth, you spoke and people listened politely. They waited for their turn. They nodded in roughly the right places. After the wealth, even before anyone knows the number, something in the way you carry yourself changes. And people respond to that change before they can explain why. Your coworker David had interrupted you in every meeting for 3 years. Consistently, reliably, without embarrassment. One Tuesday you pushed back. Calmly. Specifically. You said, "I was not finished, David." And you continued. The room noticed. Not because the words were dramatic. Because the calm was different. The calm of someone who genuinely does not need this to go a certain way. Financial security changes how you hold yourself in rooms where you used to feel the stakes. When you do not need the job to survive, the job cannot silence you. People do not know why you seem different. They just know that something in you has stopped deferring. And they adjust accordingly. The first change is not in how people talk to you. It is in how carefully they listen. Part 2. The second change. Family and money. This is the most complicated change. And it arrives before any other. His cousin Marcus called in the 3rd month. They had spoken maybe 4 times in the past 2 years. Marcus wanted to catch up. Then, 20 minutes in, Marcus mentioned a business idea. He needed $12,000 to get started. Nobody had told Marcus anything. No one in the family knew the account balance. But somehow Marcus had sensed something. A different ease. A different quality of conversation. He said no. Kindly but without apology. Marcus was not unkind about it. But 3 months passed before Marcus called again. His Aunt Linda began asking him for financial advice at every family gathering. She had never done this before. He did not mind Linda's questions. He minded that she had never asked them before. What had changed was not her need for advice. It was her perception of whether he was worth asking. His sister Rachel treated him exactly the same. She has always treated him exactly the same. He noticed this more clearly than anything else that changed. The second change, family reorganizes itself around the perceived resource. The people who stay unchanged are the ones worth keeping closest. Part 3. The third change, old friends and new distance. His oldest friend was a man named Greg. They had been friends since they were 19. Greg worked in warehouse logistics. He earned $42,000 per year. Greg did not know about the account. Greg knew him, not his net worth. The distinction was everything. But 3 other friends from that same era began to pull back. Slowly. Without explanation. He ran into one of them, a man named Kevin, at a grocery store. Kevin was warm. Briefly. Then he had to get going. The theory he eventually settled on. Some people are comfortable around you when you are at the same level. When the level changes, even invisibly, a discomfort forms that nobody discusses and everyone feels. He never resented Kevin for it. He missed the ease of it. The way money, even hidden money, builds a wall between people who used to not need to think about the space between them. Greg did not pull back. Greg called on a Thursday to complain about his manager. He expected nothing except to be heard. This is what old money has always understood. The friendships that survive a financial shift are the ones that were never about the money in the first place. The third change, old friendships separate into 2 groups. The ones built on who you are. And the ones built on proximity to who you were. Part 4. The fourth change, strangers and first impressions. The fourth change is the strangest. It involves people who have never met you before and know nothing about you. Financial security changes your presence before you say a word. Your shoulders sit differently. Your eye contact lands without searching for permission. Your pauses do not apologize for themselves. At a business dinner, he was introduced to a woman named Catherine. She ran a small consulting firm. Within 12 minutes she had offered him a referral to one of her premium clients. He had done nothing to engineer this. He had not mentioned money, success, or status. He had simply been present without the low-level anxiety that used to follow him into rooms where he felt the stakes. People read security as competence. Not always correctly, but consistently. A real estate agent he met at the same event treated him entirely differently than real estate agents had treated him 3 years earlier. She pulled up listings on her phone before he had asked. He had not dressed differently. Had not changed his car. Had not announced anything. What had changed was internal. And the external world read it with more accuracy than he would have expected. The fourth change. Strangers respond to what you carry internally before they know a single fact about you. Security presents itself without being introduced. Part 5. The fifth change. Workplace dynamics. The workplace change is the most subtle and the most daily. He still did his job. He was still reliable. He still met deadlines and answered emails. But something in the quality of his presence at work had changed in a way his manager eventually noticed without being able to name. His manager's name was Sandra. She had been his manager for 4 years. In those 4 years, she had never once asked his opinion in a senior meeting. In month 7 of the change, Sandra asked him directly what he thought about a contract renewal that had divided the room. He gave his opinion clearly. She used it in the final decision. Nothing had changed on his resume. His title was the same. His salary had not increased. What Sandra was responding to was the same thing Catherine had responded to at the business dinner. The absence of performing for approval. David, the colleague who had interrupted him for 3 years, began scheduling lunch with him. He wanted to talk about investing. He answered David's questions honestly. He liked David more in the lunch conversations than he had in the meeting room. The money question had stripped a layer of performance from the interaction, and the real person underneath was more interesting. The fifth change. The workplace stops being a place you need and becomes a place you choose. And people feel that shift and treat you accordingly. Part 6. The sixth change. How romantic relationships shift. This change is the one most people do not want to discuss honestly. But it is real and it is specific, and pretending it does not exist helps nobody. Before the financial shift, he dated with the low-level anxiety of someone who was always trying to project more stability than he felt. After the shift, he stopped trying to seem anything. He was simply present. And the conversations that followed were different in quality from almost everything that had come before. Elena was a landscape architect. She had her own income and her own savings. She was not interested in his finances. She was interested in the absence of anxiety in how he moved through the world. He also noticed, and this was harder to sit with, that some people who had shown no interest before began showing interest after perceiving the shift. This was not flattering. It was clarifying. The question it raised was not who liked him now. It was who had liked him before. Elena was present before the shift was visible to anyone. He noticed this later, and it mattered more than anything the shift had produced in terms of new attention. The sixth change. Romantic dynamics reorganize around the perception of security. The people worth finding are the ones present before the security was visible. Part 7. The seventh change. How service people treat you. This is the most uncomfortable observation on the entire list. Because it reveals something about social systems that most people would prefer not to see clearly. In the years before the shift, he had eaten at the same restaurant on his birthday for 6 years. The service was pleasant, competent, efficient. Nothing more. In year 2 of the shift, he returned to the same restaurant. The same waiter. Something in the greeting was different. He addressed the same. Arrived alone. Ordered the same dish. But the waiter had perceived something, and the service that followed was different in every small detail. This made him uncomfortable. Not because he disliked good service. Because he understood what it meant about the service others received when they were not perceived the same way. At a hotel front desk, he was upgraded without requesting it. The desk agent, a professional woman in her 30s, made the decision in approximately 4 seconds of initial assessment. The car dealership where he had been largely ignored 3 years before, when he came in asking about a used car, now treated him with the same attentiveness Catherine had shown at the business dinner. The seventh change: service professionals read financial status through posture, pace, and presence. The treatment changes before a word is exchanged. This is the most honest social X-ray you will ever receive. Part 8. The changes nobody talks about. There are 3 more changes that almost nobody discusses. Not because they are minor, because they are difficult. The first hidden change: gratitude from people you have helped, begins to arrive differently. With more weight. With a slightly transactional quality that was not there before. Before the shift, people thanked him the way they thanked a friend. After the shift, they thanked him the way they thanked a benefactor. He had not given more. He had simply become more in their perception. The second hidden change: your own relationship with spending changes in a way that is counterintuitive. You spend less on visible things and become more thoughtful about what you spend on. He bought a nicer mattress. He spent more on food quality. He upgraded his running shoes. All invisible purchases. None of them legible as wealth to anyone outside his own comfort. These felt entirely different from earlier spending. The third hidden change, and the hardest one, is a specific loneliness that arrives when you cannot share the experience fully with most of the people you love. Not because the people are not good enough. Because the experience is genuinely hard to describe to someone who has not had it. And describing it risks sounding like complaint or boasting, and it is neither. These 3 hidden changes are the ones nobody posts about. They are real and they are worth knowing before the shift arrives rather than after. Part 9. The one thing that does not change. Everything in this video so far has been about what changes. Here is what does not. The things that made you yourself before the money, your specific humor, your particular way of caring about people, the things that interest you, the things that frustrate you, these do not change. The money does not improve you. It does not make you wiser or kinder or more interesting. What it does is remove certain pressures. And without those pressures, what was already there, good or bad, becomes more visible. If you were generous before, you become more easily generous. If you were anxious about status, that anxiety finds new expressions rather than disappearing. The people who used to help without being asked, Rachel, Greg, Paul before he retired, continue to do so. The people who helped in proportion to perceived benefit recalibrate. The shift is real. The changes are real. Part 10. What to do with all of this. You are going to notice these changes. Some of them have already started. This part is about what to do with what you notice. First, do not resent the people who change toward you. They are responding to signals, the way humans have always responded to signals. The response is almost involuntary. Your job is to observe it clearly, not to judge it harshly. Second, protect the friendships and relationships that predate the shift. They are your baseline. They will tell you who you actually are when the financial signal is removed. Third, do not inflate your lifestyle to match the new social treatment you receive. The gap between how you live and what you have is not a problem to solve. It is the strategy. Fourth, understand that the loneliness has a purpose. It shows you exactly how much of your previous social world was built on proximity to a shared financial level. What survives the loneliness is what was actually there. Fifth, the way service people treat you is not personal. It is structural. Do not let it make you feel more significant. And do not let the memory of how they treated you before make you feel less. Sixth, the people who respond to the invisible shift, who sense the security before they know the number, are giving you honest information about how you carry yourself. Let that information make you more comfortable in rooms you used to find uncomfortable. Seventh, tell Rachel. Tell Greg. Not the number if you are not ready. But tell them that something has shifted. The people who deserve to know are the ones who will respond to the information the same way they have responded to every other piece of information about your life. With unchanged affection. How people treat you when you quietly become wealthy tells you almost everything you need to know about why they were in your life in the first place. The information is a gift. It is wrapped in discomfort. But it is a gift.